Let's start things off by asking you guys, the community, what is the biggest problem for Americans right now? You can have the answer in your head or comment down below. It's up to you. Now, if you answered inflation or the issues that we're having at the borders, you wouldn't be answering with the majority. Watch until the end because you guys will not believe what Americans are saying is the worst problem that we're facing right now. A new leak is showing that Vladimir Putin has recently just ordered nuclear weapons that are dubbed to have unlimited range. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but this is a little bit concerning, a little bit alarming to say the least. And what's worse is that experts are saying that these weapons can create radioactive tsunamis. And President Biden has finally said no to President Zelensky after fighter jets were recently requested. Wow, he actually draws a line. Now, before I continue, please take a second, drop a like for the video. Totally helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and we don't want the truth to be suppressed any longer. Now, if you're looking for your daily dose of the truth when it comes to what's happening in Washington, D.C., the state of our economy, the stock market, the housing market, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, and of course, money-making opportunities, and anything and everything that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There is a link in the description down below. It only takes like 15 seconds. All right, guys, Russian President Vladimir Putin has just ordered a new super weapon that's being dubbed as indestructible. The torpedoes are called Poseidon. That's scary enough in and of itself. And they have the capacity to trigger huge radioactive waves. Reports have leaked out of Russia that tests on the new weapons have now been completed and they're now being bolted to nuclear submarines. Said to reach speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour, Putin has himself stated, quote, "There is no weapon that can counter them in the world today," end quote. Not good. This sounds like a threat to the entire world, not just the United States. Much like what former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson claims the Russian president made against him. Now, in a recent interview from a documentary, Johnson had this to say.
Boris, you say that Ukraine is not going to join NATO anytime soon. He said it in English, anytime soon. What is anytime soon? And I said, well, it's not going to join NATO for the foreseeable future. You know that perfectly well. Fundamentally, it wasn't about, he threatened me at one point and said, Boris, I don't want to hurt you, but with a missile, it would only take a minute or something like that,
A spokesperson for the Kremlin has also denied this allegation and instead said that, quote, "There were no threats with missiles." While talking about security challenges to Russia, President Putin said that if the Ukraine joins NATO, the potential deployment of US or other NATO missiles near our borders would mean that any such missile could reach Moscow in minutes, end quote. The possibility of war seems to be a very trendy topic. Not that any of us want it, but many are now saying that China's invasion of Taiwan is now a question of when, not if. While Taiwan is expecting it to hit by 2027, giving them a few more years to prepare, US General Mike Minani, he said that this may be happening sooner. According to him, quote, "I hope I'm wrong. My gut tells me we will fight in 2025. Tsai secured his third term as Communist Party General Secretary and set his war council in October 2022. Taiwan's presidential elections are in 2024 and will offer Tsai a reason. Tsai's team, reason, and opportunity are all aligned for 2025, end quote. He also adds that the 2024 presidential elections will distract our country, which greatly benefits Xi Jinping. It seems as if whoever's winning in 2024, they already have a lot on their plate. Now, speaking of having a lot on their plate, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg came under a lot of fire for the many issues with the FAA's computer systems called NOTAM or NOTAM, problems that he was aware of but chose to ignore. This led to thousands of flights being canceled. Now, with all of the backlash, he's now singing a different tune as he said this, quote, "We're working to make sure that we can accelerate the NOTAM modernization, but what we really need to do is to pick up the pace on FAA's wholesale system modernization, all the way down to the backbone of how the data moves. This is something that obviously has been underway through multiple administrations. It's not going to happen overnight," end quote. But here's my question. Should solutions be made when complaints come in and cancellations happen, or should they be provided when the problems are found? Be a little bit more proactive. Just a small thought that I had on that one. Now, since we're already talking about problems, I asked you guys earlier, what you think is our biggest problem right now in America. According to a Gallup poll, the most important problem that our country is facing right now, the poor leadership that we have. Basically saying that our government is our biggest problem. This is followed by inflation and immigration. Although late last year, inflation was the top concern as our expenses jumped to levels that couldn't be kept up with. Most of them admit being on fixed income like Social Security, SSI, SSDI, while others continue to apply for benefits like SNAP and EBT just to afford food. We've also seen this huge, massive spike with credit card bills and more households being delinquent. Do you guys agree that in 2023, the government is our biggest problem? And if that is the case, do you believe that 2024 will solve the issue for all of us? Now, having said that, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis advisors are saying that he's actively preparing for a possible presidential run. While DeSantis hasn't necessarily confirmed it himself yet, former President Donald Trump already had some choice words regarding the possibility. He had this to say about it.
So Ron would have not been governor if it wasn't for me, and that's okay. Number one, he wouldn't have gotten a nomination, and number two, he wouldn't have beaten his Democrat opponent. So then when I hear he might run, I consider that very disloyal, but it's not about loyalty. But to me it is. It's always about loyalty, but for a lot of people it's not about loyalty.
While Trump is confident that he can win against Ron DeSantis, Governor Chris Sununu, he said otherwise. But what about you guys? Who do you think is going to be the Republican Party's 2024 presidential nominee? From the future, let's go back to the present, as President Biden has now responded to the request from Ukrainian President Zelensky to send F-16 fighter jets to the war. When asked about it, the president responded with a short, sweet no.
We know that the White House has reversed itself on previous requests for military aid to Ukraine. Could that happen in this case with the request for F-16s, despite the president saying, no, they're not going to send them?
In just another one-word answer, yes, that absolutely could happen. I think it is very possible that will happen in this case because we have seen it happen time and time again, where the U.S., the Biden administration, has been resistant to a weapon system, particularly one that they worry may be provocative or escalatory to Vladimir Putin.
Now, the same answer is being given to the president by nearly half of the Senate Republican conference when it comes to the debt ceiling. In a letter led by Senators Mike Lee and Ted Butt, they said, quote, "We, the undersigned members of the Senate Republican conference, right to express our outright position to a debt ceiling hike without real structural spending reform that reduces deficit spending and brings fiscal sanity back to Washington," end quote. The letter, however, was not signed by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Do you guys think that the Biden administration has been irresponsible with the use of our taxpayer money? Now, on the topic of money, a U.S. judge just said that the names of the two people who guaranteed bail for FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried should be made public, but put this on hold due to a pending expected appeal. There's also a lot of news outlets who are curious and they want to find out the truth to the two individuals who gave $500,000 and $200,000 respectively. Do you guys have any clues as to who this could be? And do you feel as if investors should be in the loop as to who continues to fund this disgraced CEO? You guys know that to keep up with today's crazy economic times, we got to be in the loop on everything. We have to be skilled with how we manage our money, from budgeting to investments. It's critical that we know what's happening. Maybe we could dip a little bit into the stock market or in real estate, and if we feel confident with our cash flow, maybe strengthen it by creating side hustles or small businesses, all toward our goal of financial freedom. That's where I come in though. Now, if you guys want to learn more about this, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. There's a link in the description down below. But before I go, please don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video. I really appreciate the support, and subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. There's no sense in being silent when we got the facts. Appreciate you guys watching. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next one.